Hi guys, hope everybody's doing great. I know I haven't made a video in a really long time, but I really like vlogging. I think it's a super underrated hobby, and so why not vlog if you feel like vlogging, you know? So I'm gonna vlog. Something really got me kind of thinking and kind of lit a fire in me that I haven't really expressed ever, hardly ever. Oh, okay, so I was at Summerfest this past weekend and super great time. I went with my best friend. What I noticed is that the culture there this year especially was very, I really don't know how to explain it, disrespectful, but people were very just outspoken about their irritation and in a really negative way. Like a lot of people were being put down verbally, and there's just a lot of body shaming going on, which was really surprising. I experienced this personally, so did my best friend Emily. The first night we were there, I got called fat and I got called ugly by a guy. And then the second night we were there, she was messaged by a guy kind of body shaming her and telling her to lose weight, which none of us need to lose weight. It made me really peeved because even if somebody does need to lose weight, there's no reason that anybody needs to speak that over that person. If that person knows that, you know, if they feel confident in their body, no matter what shape or size, y'all need to shut up and let them live their life, you know? But it kind of made me want to talk about something that I haven't shared with a lot of people, and it's the fact that I have a history of eating disorders, and with that, I have a history of actually seeing myself as overweight when I knew that I'm not. And so for somebody to just outright call me fat and tell me to lose weight, even though I've overcome that eating disorder and even though I'm in a much better place now, what if I was still struggling with that? You know, what if I was still going through my anorexia and he had called me fat? It could have sent me into even deeper of a mental breakdown. So I just think that this needs to be talked about, this needs to be exposed, and we need to share our stories boldly and liberate one another. So yeah, real quick, when I was going into my freshman year of college, I started losing a lot of weight, not really intentionally, just through, I was in show choir and moving a lot, and so I just started losing a lot of weight my senior year. And so I kind of was really getting comfortable with that, you know, I was at a healthy weight and I looked healthy. I was probably, I don't know, 115 pounds. So then I started really kind of becoming obsessed though with that weight and that size, and I kept kind of thinking this sick thought, how much smaller can I get? You know, how much smaller can I get? So I started little by little calorie restricting, and what that looked like was I would either, you know, skip breakfast one day, or I would just get a really light salad at lunch, or I would eat a small dinner, and then it kind of turned into okay, I'm gonna skip lunch and dinner today. Or what I would do is I would deplete all the way up until dinner, so I would skip breakfast and lunch, and then I would get to dinner and I would just eat everything in sight and eat so much, and then I would feel super guilty and depressed for the rest of the day. So that's when I kind of started noticing there's an issue. And then when it really hit me was when I got home one day and I was sitting next to my mom and I was logging my calories, which some people do, and it really helps them maintain weight, which there's nothing wrong with logging your calories. But for somebody with some mental health issues like myself, it was really dangerous. So my mom was kind of getting skeptical, why are you logging your calories? And when she looked over, she saw the number 800, and it was 7 o'clock at night, and she saw the number 800 for calorie intake for the day. She had, you know, she was aware that I wasn't eating the rest of the night, and that, you know, dinner was over, and I kind of was getting this excitement off of it. I was oh, cool, I still have 800 calories to go, but and she was Sophia, that is not okay. That is so much food that you have not eaten today that you probably are not going to consume the rest of the night. That's when I was kind of getting down to 110 pounds. And then I went into college, and the change was super crazy, going from living at home for your whole life to a dorm, and so I got really anxious. So that did not help my cause. So the only thing that I felt like I had control over in that season of life was what I put in my mouth, what I ate. It started getting worse. I started, we would go to the dining hall, and I would take a plate of spinach, a side of broccoli, and some balsamic vinaigrette on top of it, and that would be my meal. And my friends started saying things dude, you need to go get another plate of food, or like, I'm gonna go get you a brownie. And I was kind of like, no, like, you know, tell that lie, like, oh, I already ate before this, guys, it's fine, like, I already had a dinner before this is my second dinner. But really, that was like the only thing I was eating for the day. I came home one weekend to hang out with my parents, to hang out with my family, and I was down to 100 pounds. And my mom looked at me and saw how brittle I looked and how pale I was, and she just straight up started crying. Like, she was like, this is really, really, really scary, you know, especially for a mom, probably. I'm not a mom. But I think what really woke me up from my eating disorder was I started to notice like clumps and clumps of my hair falling out. And so I started losing all of this hair, and it was to the point where like I would be sitting in class and it would just be like falling out down my clothing, and it was embarrassing because I was constantly pulling out clumps of hair in front of people. And I actually ended up losing almost like a third of my hair volume. I went to the doctor about it actually, and they diagnosed me with telogen effluvium, which is a hair disorder, hair falling out disorder, where your body is you're not consuming enough protein, and so your body starts kind of like extrapolating from all the other protein sources it can from your own body to feed itself. And so my body was literally attacking my hair, stripping it for protein because I wasn't eating enough protein. And so as a response to that, my hair became really thin and brittle, and it just started falling out. My doctor was like, you need to get serious about your diet. Like, you either need to start eating normally again, or this is going to be an ongoing problem. I guess like God really woke me up through that. But this video isn't necessarily about me just talking about my eating disorder and talking about how my hair fell out, but more so to say that this is a really super real, prevalent issue. I don't know how many people, even around me during a daily basis, are experiencing an eating disorder to some extent, but my guess is more of them than you would think are facing some extent of an eating disorder. And so to bring this back to the beginning of this video, to be called fat, for anybody to be called fat, for one, is an absolute no-no, because you have no idea what they're going through. And I know for a fact, if somebody would have called me fat when I was facing my eating disorder head on, it would have made my eating disorder 10 times worse, because I would have really started believing that. Like, eating disorders can truly destroy someone's life. And for anybody to step up into somebody's face and just call them fat and tell them they need to lose weight is never okay, because you have no idea what they're going to do when they get home, or how they're going to eat the next day because of what you said, or how long that statement's going to stay in their head. And so thankfully I've overcome my eating disorder. I'm doing really well. I've gained all the 20 pounds that I lost back. And so when that guy said that to me, it didn't send me into any sort of downward spiral, thank the Lord. But that's not to say that it wouldn't have affected somebody else in that negative of a way, or that it couldn't trigger something again in my own brain. So I just really want to extend like myself to you guys and say, if you're facing an eating disorder of any kind, feel free to talk to me. Like, I'd love to talk with you about it. I'd love to hear your story and encourage you, but also just to stay strong and know that there is hope, there is light at the end of your tunnel, and that your eating disorder does not define you, and you are not alone, and that no matter what anybody says to you about your eating disorder or about your image or anything like that, don't even listen, because nobody can experience your experience but you. And only you know how real that is. Know that you're beautiful, and that you're loved, and that you're worthy, and that you will get better. And for the love of God, people, do not body shame anybody, including yourself, because you really never know what somebody's going through.